Hi everyone, hope you guys are doing very well today and welcome back to the channel. Today is a very exciting day because I'm going to be making a tier list for all the heroes and villains in Star Wars Battlefront 2. Now before I get started, I want to make a quick disclaimer. This tier list is only going to be based off of the heroes versus villains game mode. I'm not going to be including how these characters perform in trooper game modes because I feel like that would kind of skew up the tier list and not necessarily be fair to a lot of the characters. Now, maybe in the future, I will definitely make a tier list for these characters in trooper game modes, but for now, we're just going to be sticking with heroes versus villains, so let's get started. So the first person we got is Anakin Skywalker. Now, Anakin is, in my opinion, one of the best light side heroes, just for his crowd control and the amount of damage that he can output. He definitely has some of the best force abilities on the light side. Two abilities deal a whole bunch of damage. They can lead to great combos, and there isn't really a lot of bad things going for Anakin. The only thing that isn't the best with him is his stamina, but if you run the star card that gives him the more stamina, or the more damage that you deal, you get more stamina. Sorry, I worded that completely wrong. He can be very, very strong. He can be a force to be reckoned with, and he's one of the only characters that has a fourth ability, which is his retribution. So I think for now, I'm just going to stick him in the A tier because he is very strong, but I don't think he's broken or overpowered. So next person, let's talk about BB-8. So BB-8 is very strong in certain situations. If you're playing on a lot of indoor maps like Jabba's Palace or I think it's like the MC-85 Cruiser, he can be very, very strong. But if you're playing on a lot of outdoor maps or very big, wide, flat maps like Crate, you're not really going to be doing a whole lot because he is more of an up-close hero. He likes to deal damage very closely. He is also a support character, so if you don't really have a good team or people that are sticking around you, you're kind of wasting some of BB-8's potential. But he can still be very strong in certain situations. So I think for that, I'm going to put him in the C tier. So next person is BB-9E. BB-9E, in my opinion, is much more fun to play than BB-8, but his damage is much lower when comparing the two. I think BB-9E is more of a support character rather than just someone who can go and deal a bunch of damage, because none of his abilities really do much damage besides his, I think the charge up ability is what it's called. Whichever one where he spins and just shoots people away. It is very strong against blaster heroes because if you're going against a Finn, a Chewie, or a Leia, if you do your middle ability, it will completely shut down any blaster, or if Leia does have her E11 blaster out, it can just completely get rid of it. So I do think that ability is very, very strong, but he isn't the best when comparing him to a lot of other blaster villains in general. I would say the thing that is very underrated about BB-9E is his shock ability. He is able to shock heroes and stun them, similar to Iden Versio's droid and Emperor Palpatine's lightning. It can just basically expose them to force abilities, lightsaber attacks, and anything else you can think of that will damage the opponents. So like I said, he is more of a support character. You give that opening for your teammates to hit other characters when you shock them, but overall, you're not really going to be performing or doing amazing with BB-9E unless you have a really good team. So I think for that, I'm going to be putting him in the D tier. So Boba Fett, let's get with the bounty hunters. So Boba Fett, in my opinion, is one of the best blasters on the villain side. I enjoy playing as him. He's pretty fun. Not the best blaster hero in my opinion, but whenever you're very, very good with Boba Fett and you're hitting your shots and you can just fly across the entire map, you are going to be doing lots and lots of damage. Now, he is very weak. His defense is not the best. His health regeneration is very poor. But if you can hit your shots and you can evade well with your jetpack and just find certain spots to just pick apart the enemy team, you're going to be doing very well. So I think with that, I'm going to put Boba Fett in the A tier for now and leave it at that. So now we got Bossk, another bounty hunter. I would say Bossk isn't as good as Boba Fett, but his damage is much, much stronger than Boba Fett. But I do think he is also situational, similar to BB-8. If you're playing on an indoor map like Jabba's Palace or like how I said earlier, you're going to doing very, very well. I would honestly be putting Bossk in the S tier if that was the case. But unfortunately, you're not really going to be getting those maps very often. You're going to be in other maps that have a lot of open space, which kind of counters his toxin and his proximity mines. But if you can hit your shots with his sniper, whenever you're aiming down his sights, I would say it only takes 3 shots to kill most heroes if you hit headshots. He is very, very, very strong. But he is in that situation where you have to be hitting your headshots constantly. You have to be positioning yourself correctly. And when comparing him to Boba Fett, I don't think he has as much power as him. So I think I'm going to be putting Bossk in the B tier for now. So we got Chewie. Chewie is very fun in trooper game modes. His abilities are very broken against a lot of troopers because his middle ability can just one-shot anybody. And if you have certain star cards, you can be resistant to damage. You can keep that ability going on forever. And he is just a force to be reckoned with. But when it comes to heroes versus villains, he underperforms a lot of the time. His damage is very weak if you're not in his middle ability, and his abilities aren't necessarily the best either. His shock grenade is very strong. It's good against a lot of other villains if you have other blaster characters with you. His slam ability is alright. It's not the best, but it is there just to help him with crowd control. But his overall damage is just not that strong. I think for now, I want to put him in the D tier. I'll put him above BB9E, but I think he just gets outperformed by a lot of the other blaster characters on the light side. So I think D tier is best for him. So now we got Count Dooku. Count Dooku, in my opinion, is very strong in Hero Showdown. He is the best duelist in Star Wars Battlefront 2, in my opinion. Now, he's not the best lightsaber character, just the best duelist. What I mean by that is his damage is very, very strong. He has a very quick attack speed. He's also one of the only characters that can have 3 dodges, besides Rey if you equip her star card. And his health regeneration is just amazing. He's just a really good lightsaber character. But the only downside to him is he doesn't have a lot of range or crowd control. He's mostly only going to be doing damage with his lightsaber, and that's pretty much it. So if you're going against a lot of other characters who all are as a group, you can't really do much as Count Dooku unless you just parry everybody and just go crazy against them. Dooku is fun to play, but when it comes to just overall performance in heroes versus villains, I don't think he compares to a lot of the other lightsaber characters. So for that, I think I'm going to be putting him in C tier above BB-8 for now. So now we got Darth Maul. Darth Maul is so much fun to play in my opinion. His mobility is absolutely amazing, and his abilities are just so much fun to use. Now, if you're not the best with his abilities, he definitely is not the best character. I don't know if I've used this term before or said this before, but I think of Darth Maul almost as a glass cannon. And what I mean by that is that he can deal a whole bunch of damage, but he can't really take much. He'll get annihilated pretty much. But if you can use your abilities correctly, if you can get the timing right, if you're very swift and you can deal damage very quickly, he is very, very, very strong. So with that, I think I'm going to be putting him in the B tier, below Bossk, because I still think Bossk can do a lot more damage than Darth Maul. I actually changed my mind. We're going to switch that. He's going to be above Bossk with B tier. So that's what I think is for Darth Maul. So Darth Vader. I don't even think I need to say anything about this. We're just going to put him in the S tier. And I think you guys can already guess why. He has the best abilities in the game. His middle ability can give him damage reduction, extra health, stamina reduction, and is overall just completely broken. His force choke leaves enemies completely vulnerable to blasters, lightsaber attacks, force abilities, anything you can think of, and it constantly deals damage. And plus, if that wasn't enough for you, you have a lightsaber throw just to attack people that aren't in breathing distance of Darth Vader. So no doubt about it, best character in the game, Darth Vader. We're just going to leave it at that. Next character. So for Finn is very fun to play on the light side if you have a good team. What I mean by that is his abilities focus mostly on how your team performs. Now, you can do very well with Finn. There has been times where I've been able to take down villains on my own as Finn, but it's a struggle. You're going to need a lot of his abilities to do so, and without your team, you're not really going to be doing a whole lot. But if you have a really good team, I do think he performs amazing. He can keep his team alive for almost the entire match. He can recharge their abilities, he can give them damage reduction, and his Deadeye ability is also very strong against a lot of the villains like BB-9E, Emperor Palpatine, Boba Fett, a lot of people that have a lot of mobility. He can just completely counter that with his aimbot ability pretty much. So I think with that, I'm going to be putting him in the A tier below Boba Fett because his mobility isn't really the best as a blaster hero. So I think A tier best fits him. So with Grievous, I think Grievous is almost the perfect villain for heroes versus villains. A lot of his abilities focus around crowd control. It helps him with his main counter, which is his stamina, and he can deal lots of damage very quickly. Plus he also has, I wouldn't necessarily say it's a bug, but his jump ability, not ability, just his jump swings, kind of glitched. You can do lots of damage very quickly for just spamming it, and it's very, very strong against blaster heroes. And when you go against a good Grievous, it's really hard to do anything against him. So I think I'm going to be putting him in the A tier. I would say below Boba Fett. We're going to leave him there for now. Alright, so for the next character, we have Han Solo. Now, Han Solo, in my opinion, is so much fun to play. I'm just saying this with a lot of these characters. His blaster is one of the best out of all the characters in Battlefront 2. His pistol can do so much damage at close range, long range. It has really good recharge, and it's pretty much a sniper that is really, really quick. And a lot of his abilities are amazing. His proximity bomb is so good against blaster and lightsaber villains. And in case that wasn't enough for you, you do also have his charge ability, which is very strong against blocks and can just knock opponents away from you. And he's overall just a very, very good character. His mobility isn't the best, but he is the only blaster hero that has the option with 3 dodges, which makes him very unpredictable, very hard to hit, and just very, very strong. So I think I will put him above Boba Fett just because of how strong his blaster is. And I know a lot of these people are going to be in the A tier because I just think they're very, very good. But I think that's just where we're going to put him for now. All right, so now we got Iden Versio. I personally, this is the character I hate the most in Star Wars Battlefront 2. I really don't like playing as her, and I really hate going against her. Her playstyle, I just don't think fits heroes versus villains that much. Her abilities are pretty strong, except for her sniper. I can't get used to using it. And her blaster is very strong. Her proximity bomb, like the blue orb that explodes, is very, very strong against lightsaber heroes and blaster heroes. I just don't really like her playstyle that much. The TL50 is a very strong blaster, and she is a strong character. I do think she would belong up in B tier almost, but I really don't like her as a character, so I'm going to be putting her in the F tier because I think she is garbage and does not belong in Battlefront 2. But for the people that like playing her, you do you. I don't have much to say, but yeah, that's just where I think she belongs. All right, so Kylo Ren. Kylo Ren is a very good character overall. His abilities are very strong against crowd control. His frenzy is good against blocks, and I do think he is overall just a very strong villain in this tier list. Now, I don't think he compares with a lot of the characters up in the A tier. He is decent, but if characters just know how to block and dodge, you're not really going to be getting a whole lot of value out of his abilities. So I do think he is in the B tier, above Darth Maul and above Bossk, and he is strong, but in my opinion, just not the best. So next character we got is Lando Calrissian. Now, I want to like Lando because his blaster is a very strong tool, but at long range he is just absolutely useless. He cannot really do much. His abilities don't have a lot going for him besides his proximity disc, whatever shocks the enemies. I don't know what it's called. It's very strong. It has a very large radius, and it can basically give you the opportunity to kill any hero or any villain with just a couple shots to the head, and it makes him very, very strong. But I would say, comparing him to a lot of these other blasters, he's not the best. I do think he is the worst blaster hero in this game, so I think I'm gonna have to put him in the D tier at the bottom. He's not garbage because he still is very fun to play, but I think that's just how he matches up to a lot of these other characters. So Princess Leia, for her current state, she is broken in my opinion. I think she has some of the best blaster abilities in the game. Her E11 can annihilate any hero, any blaster character, anything that is in her way. She can get rid of it with her blaster. Along with that, she also has grenades, so if you're fighting against somebody that's just constantly blocking, or if you're in a very tight room, you can just use those to just demolish your enemy's health. And plus, she also has a shield, which basically can just counter any blaster hero and can give your teammates health. Plus, her perks or her star cards are very, very strong. She has one that gives her damage reduction for just being around her teammates. So I think she belongs in the S tier, below Darth Vader, but better than a lot of these other characters because she can outperform a lot of them, and she can also support her team at the same time, basically making her a really good asset to heroes versus villains. So with Luke Skywalker, I really like Luke Skywalker because he's just really good at everything. He has amazing mobility, he has good damage, he can take a decent amount of health, definitely not as much as Anakin Skywalker, and his abilities are also very fun and they're strong. Now, I don't think he is as good as Anakin Skywalker, but when it comes to how well he can take down an enemy, how quick he can just wipe out a whole group of villains, he's very, very strong. So I think he belongs in the A tier. I'm going to put him below Han, but above Boba Fett. And we'll go from there. So now we got Obi-Wan Kenobi. In Hero Showdown, I do think he is the best hero, but when it comes to heroes versus villains, he's kind of in that same boat as Count Dooku, where he doesn't really have the best crowd control. Now, his defensive capabilities are the best in Battlefront 2. If you are planning on blocking and just parrying a lot with him, he is amazing. But if you want to go on the offensive and you just want to try to take out as much people as possible, you're not really going to be doing a whole lot with Obi-Wan. Now, I do think he is better than Count Dooku because he has defense, and when you're going in heroes versus villains, you're going to be facing a larger group of enemies, which it's a bit annoying, but it's just what happens with the game mode, and I do think he is much better when it comes to crowd control, so I'm going to be putting him in the C tier. So now we got my favorite character in Star Wars Battlefront 2, Emperor Palpatine. Now, if it was me personally, just how much I enjoy playing this character, I would be putting him in the S tier, just because of how fun he is to play. But he can be outperformed by a lot of these other characters, so I do think he belongs in the A tier. I'm going to put him at the top of it because I just love Palpatine way too much, and I think he's just so strong. His mobility is the best out of any character in this game, and his force abilities aren't really the best, but they can do lots of damage if you use them correctly, and he's more of just a character that slowly breaks down the enemies until there's nothing left of them. So I think he's a very fun villain, very strong, but I think I'm going to put him at just the top of the A tier for now, and we'll just leave it at that. So now we got Captain Phasma, the Buckethead. She is similar to Bossk and BB-8, where she's very situational with her team and which map you're playing on. If you're playing on a map with tight corridors or one spot that is just backed up against a wall, you are going to do very, very well with Captain Phasma. She can lock down an area so well, and if your teammate all stays together, you are honestly unstoppable. Her blaster isn't really the best, but it can do lots of damage very quickly. Never want to underestimate it. Her abilities are strong. She can get reduced damage and more extra health from her middle ability, which is always a nice thing. And her staff strike is okay. It leaves you exposed and doesn't really do a whole lot of damage, so I wouldn't really recommend it. Your first order sentry is what is carrying pretty much Captain Phasma. It's what's going to be doing a lot of the damage. It's going to allow you to stun your enemies and just slow them down, and it just makes her very, very strong. So with that, I think I'm going to be putting her at the bottom of the B tier. She is situational, and with that, I think I'm actually going to move her down to C tier, because like I said, she is situational. You have to have some pretty good teammates that are sticking with you. If you don't, you're just going to be overrun and taken out. So I think C tier makes the most sense for her. Now with Rey is very underrated in my opinion. Her abilities aren't really the best, but when used correctly, they can do lots of damage very quickly. Now, they're mostly used to combo with each other. Her insight gives her extra damage, plus she can also see anybody, and I don't know if most people know this, but it makes her go off of the radar. So I see her more as a flank and kind of just get behind the enemy and just surprise them type of character, because her left ability, which is like her charge, is very strong for knocking down characters. You can usually get about 2 to 3 hits on them if you're aiming it correctly, and it overall is just very, very strong. Plus she has a better mind trick ability than Obi-Wan in my opinion. You can reverse the controls of your enemies, slow them down, and just make it much harder for them to do anything, which I think makes her very, very strong with her team. So I think I'm going to be putting her in the B tier, above Darth Maul, but below Kylo Ren. So now we got Yoda. Yoda, in my opinion, is fun, but the way he plays, like how slow his attacks are, just doesn't make him a fun experience when you're going against really good players. His presence ability is very strong, and he definitely has some of the underrated abilities ever. His unleash is good against blasters, his dash is good against people that are always blocking, and he can pick apart a team if someone knows what's they're doing. Sorry, I can't speak. But he is strong. He is slow, which I think is why I'm going to put him in the bottom of the B tier. And that's it. That's all the heroes ranked. So pretty much got the main 2 OP people, Darth Vader, Princess Leia. We already knew how that was going to go. And pretty much everybody else. Majority of people are in the A tier. I do think all these people are very, very strong. And overall, I would say each character can be OP when in the right situation. But for majority of the situations that happen, I do think this tier list makes the most sense to me and my playstyle. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun making this, and if you guys would like to see more of this, I'd be so happy to do so, because there's plenty of characters, there's reinforcements, there's troopers, the different blasters. I haven't really even gone over how these characters perform in trooper game modes. There's the starfighters, there's a whole bunch of stuff. So if you guys want to see more of this content, just let me know down in the comments, and I really do hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Thanks for watching.